You know that feeling when you're reading an article or watching something and you just completely lose track of time? Well, let's get into that, because what's actually going on inside your head in those moments is this incredible, totally invisible process. So today, we're going to go on a little journey inside your brain to uncover its hidden secrets for consuming content.
It really all boils down to one simple question. Why this article? Why that video? I mean, what is it that makes one piece of content stick in your brain for weeks while you forget another one almost the second it's over? Well, the answer is hiding deep inside your own cognitive wiring.
And look, this isn't just some fun fact. Understanding this amazing process is actually a practical tool. It's your key to learning faster, focusing better, and really getting the most out of everything you decide to read and watch. So let's start our tour, shall we?
Okay, first things first, let's look at the basic machinery. What is actually happening second by second when brand new information hits your brain? Well, it's kind of like a beautifully complex three-stage relay race happening at the speed of thought.
Just think of it like a cognitive assembly line. First, you've got the raw materials, sights and sounds that arrive at the perception station. From there, they move on to initial processing, where your brain starts to sort through everything and make sense of it all. And finally, it gets to the quality control inspector, attention and focus, which decides what's actually important enough to keep.
So let's start with perception. Your senses are basically these high-speed input channels. Your eyes are grabbing all the letters, shapes, and images, while your ears are picking up on the sounds and the words being spoken. It's literally the raw data feed for your brain. Next up, that raw data gets sent into processing, and this part happens unbelievably fast. Your brain is instantly analyzing colors, tones, the emotion in someone's voice, the meaning behind a word. It's the reason you might laugh at a funny scene before you can even consciously explain why it's funny. Your brain just gets it. And then we have the final step, focus. This is where your brain becomes this super intelligent filter. It shines a spotlight on whatever it thinks is important and just pushes everything else into the background. And honestly, it's a critical survival skill that keeps us from being totally overwhelmed by every single little detail around us.
So we have the basic process down now, but does it work the same exact way for everything we consume? Well, not quite. Let's dive into how this all changes when we're doing two very different things, reading a book versus watching a video.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because there's a fascinating trade-off here. When you're reading, all that extra mental effort it takes, that's not a bug, it's the feature. It makes your brain do more heavy lifting, engaging your logic and imagination, and that effort is exactly what helps lock the information into your memory. Viewing, on the other hand, is way easier, because the info is kind of pre-packaged for you. But because it's less work, it can sometimes be, well, less memorable.
So here's the key takeaway. Neither one is just better than the other. Actually, the brain absolutely loves it when you combine them. This is precisely why videos that mix powerful visuals with really compelling audio create such an incredibly stimulating and effective learning experience.
Which, of course, brings us to the big question. Whether we're reading or watching, how do we make sure that information doesn't just go in one ear and out the other? How do we make it actually stick? Well, your brain has a few brilliant tricks up its sleeve for this.
Here they are, the 3 golden keys to remembering things. First, your brain literally tags information with emotion. Anything that makes you laugh or feel surprised or even a little scared gets flagged as important. Second, it creates a web of knowledge by linking new stuff to your past experiences. And third, learning gets solidified when you actively participate, like by trying to summarize what you learned or explaining it to a friend.
Okay, we've covered all the theory. Now it's time for the best part. How can we actually use these cognitive secrets to our own advantage? Here are 4 super practical tips you can start using today to learn faster and make it stick.
First up is a simple one, but trust me, it's the foundation for everything else.
You've got to avoid distractions. Remember that spotlight in your brain we talked about? Well, multitasking forces that spotlight to jump around like crazy, which means nothing gets your full, undivided attention. So do yourself a favor. Close those extra tabs. Put the phone away. Give your brain the gift of focusing on just one thing at a time.
All right, tip number 2. This is all about working smarter, not harder.
And that means focusing on the key information first. Before you get lost in all the little details, actively hunt for the big picture. Ask yourself, what's the main idea here? What's the one thing I'm supposed to take away? By finding that core message, you give your brain a solid framework to hang all the smaller details on.
Number 3. For this one, we're borrowing a technique from the most effective learners out there.
It's all about smart repetition. See, your brain builds memory like a muscle. The more you use a specific neural pathway, the stronger it gets. So just re-watching or rereading something shortly after you first see it, even for just a few minutes, will massively boost your long-term recall. It's a game changer.
And last but not least, here is the ultimate hack for making new knowledge truly your own.
Connect what you're learning to your daily life. Remember how we said the brain loves linking new info to past experiences? Well, you can take charge of that process. Actively ask yourself, okay, how does this relate to my job? How can I actually use this? Because when you make it personal, you make it permanent.
So there you have it, a quick peek inside your own mind. You now know the hidden rules of attention, of processing, of memory. The only question left is a personal one. Now that you know the rules of the game, how are you going to change the way you play?